Thank you, Kristen. Does it look like we have the bulk of our participants?
Yeah, I think we're good to go.
All right, let's get started then. Thank you all. Welcome to the August office hours. Apologize for the last minute reschedule, but there was information we really wanted to get updated. So Kristen, next slide, please. Our regular meeting format, we have updates for you, Q&A, and of course the session's being recorded for anybody who's unable to make it. Our next session is September 17th at 1 o'clock. Super exciting presentation coming up. We have a railroad expediter joining us on best practices, and we have the BLM presentation that HDR coordinated for us. Katie Whitepool will be joining us. So it's all guest speakers, but it should be a pretty action-packed hour. Okay. Today's agenda, we're going to briefly touch on some updates, talk about clarifications to the NEPA checklist and what to expect after your NEPA kickoff meeting. And we're going to spend the bulk of our time talking about milestones because we know that's a big topic for all of you. Okay. All right. Kristen did a great refresh on our BEAD resources page. It was provisional grantees before. It is now BEAD grantee resources. All of your familiar information is still at the bottom under the onboarding, but everything's been refreshed to really focus on the BEAD life cycle. If you've not already been to visit, please check out the page, bookmark it, because there's going to be lots of information coming there.
That, like, y'all, just transparency behind the scenes. I just changed a slide, Jamie,
Oh,
and so Kristen had to pull it down and put it back up. So I apologize, y'all. That was me. That was me that caused
no.
that caused that to happen.
Thank you for clarifying because I assumed it was me of clicking the wrong button. All right, we're on track then. All right. Our partners at HDR made us aware of an upcoming webinar hosted by the NTIA, and it's all on permitting, practical tools and strategies for broadband buildouts. I know that's a big topic for us and everyone else. The link is included. It's a free webinar. Hope to see many of y'all there. All right, for NEPA, we're going to talk about a clarification to the process, what's next after the meeting, and then leave space for HDR to answer any questions or provide any updates. And you can zip ahead. Okay, nothing here is new. This was just simply clarified and reorganized to make it easier to get all of your documentations in for the meeting at the right time. So today we're asking you to switch to sending all four documents that are required in a zip file to the Advanced CBO NEPA mailbox. That will include the attachment with the project description and the EHP questionnaire, the BEAD permitting questionnaire, the final draft of the initial meeting presentation, and we are updating to ask for the GIS map, including limits of disturbance. It was vaguely in our recommendations, but we noticed it wasn't included in any of the presentations we got. So we just wanted to call that out as something that we've always needed. We just want to get it to you proactively. Okay, once that zip file has been sent to the Advance NEPA box, you can then go in and schedule the NEPA review meeting. Since everything's getting busy, we do have to insist on the minimum of 2 weeks after the documents are submitted. We may have to cancel if it's any sooner than that, just to give our HDR partners adequate time to review and prepare. All right. And we've got links to the calendar and the NEPA step-by-step checklist with refresh for you to check out as well. Any questions or concerns on that? Okay, let's keep going. All right, after the NEPA kickoff is complete, what happens? One of the things you're going to get from our partners at HDR is a post-kickoff readiness memoranda. It's going to have 3 required sections that will be your primary focus. One is the project background information, tribal and historic preservation review, and the permitting review. Each of those sections will have items under them either listed as complete, ready to go, more information needed, or not applicable. If it's not applicable, ignore it. If it's completed, you're fine. We're asking you to focus on the ones where it says more information is needed. Our partners are calling out exactly what they feel is missing and what should be completed. So we need you to complete those items, and we'll walk through how to submit those. At the bottom of the form, there's a couple of other areas we wanted to call attention to. One is going to say, is a follow-up meeting required? So do they feel that if you send the information in, that's going to be fine? Or is there enough that they'd like to set up a second follow-up? If they do check meeting required, same rule. Once you submit the requested documents, go ahead and schedule for at least 2 weeks out on the NEPA calendar for that follow-up. And then there's a brief section for next steps and additional notes, but your main focus should be on those first 3. Those are the required ones. When each section is fully complete and updated, we need you to compile all of the information in that document into a single zip file, upload to the Advance-BEAD portal, and send a notification to the Advanced NEPA email. Some of these are just too large to email, so we're asking for the zip file. And you do have the choice of either submitting by the section or an entire package. What we're asking that we not do is send one document at a time. We want it either grouped into those 3 areas or submitted as one package. And we're going to get that actual template of what that looks like posted for you, and I'll replace that with the actual link. If there's no questions, we can move on. All right, meat of the meeting. We really want to talk about milestones. Many of you are already entering this, so we wanted to clarify the templates and how to use them. And Allie, if you don't mind, I'm going to have you jump in first. On what our intentions are and what we really want to make sure people get out of this today.
Oh, thank you, Jamie. Okay, next slide, please. So y'all, I would imagine it is very tempting to multitask, but I really hope that you'll pay attention to us just a little bit for this next section, because what we're talking about here is how you get paid and the documentation that you need to send in to us before you get paid. So we've had some questions, we've had some brief conversations about what kind of supporting documentation you're going to need to send for each milestone. We've pulled together what we believe that's going to be. And this presentation, we're going to walk through it and ask you guys to kick the tires on it. So if you have a concern, we want to hear it. If you don't, please feel free to just speak out in the presentation, drop something in chat, or take yourself on mute and let's talk about it. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, understand that some people don't. Feel free to shoot us an email. But the deadline for feedback on this, y'all, is this evening. So if you give us feedback here, great. If you want to send us an email, great, but definitely get it to us quickly, because we know some of you really want to be submitting for your payment milestones, and we want to make that happen. So what we'll be doing today is we're going to walk through 3 of the milestones. We're going to walk through milestones 2, 3, and 4. First, we're going to talk about what we're asking for, why we're asking for it, and then we hope that you all will have some feedback for us, whether you hate it, which we hope you don't, at least understand it, and maybe love it, which would be great. And then the next slide will be truly how you will submit each of those milestones. So what the step-by-step process is for submitting the documents. So if We can drop the bead milestone template in the chat. That would be great. Maybe pin it. But let's move forward to the next slide.
Thank you. All right, Allie, thank you. She's been very passionate about making sure that we're not just talking at you, that we're having a conversation, getting feedback. So hopefully she's made it clear that feedback is welcome and appreciated, but we do have to do it fairly rapidly. So milestone 2 is actually going to be the easiest one because all you have to submit is the template. But the content of that template is very important. It has to be complete and accurate. There are 2 tabs for milestone 2. The first one is the comprehensive list of your permitting plan, covering everything from the critical crossing category, who is the agency, what is the review time. I've had people say they don't know exactly on the permit date because they're waiting to see how long ESAP. Please fill this out to the best of your ability with the timeline that you're aware of. Oh, I'm sorry, Ellie, did you?
I'll wait till you're done. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Okay, no, I'm sorry. There's also a section here called stage of permitting. So that's going to change as you progress. So it's either pending, in progress, or received. So this will be an updated and living document, which is why you'll see that we're including a naming convention to ensure that we're all looking at the most common one. One of the things we're asking you to provide in the notes is what happens if you don't get that permit? What is the impact to your project? Is it possibly 3 locations that are not going to be serviced? Is it 30? And do you have a mitigation plan if that doesn't come through? And I think that will be more on the private easement side. But please be thinking about and noting those impacts as well. On the second tab, it's specifically private easements. And we do ask that if you have no private easements to put not applicable so we don't have to follow up with you saying you missed a sheet. We do have a specified naming convention for this template that will help us keep track of updates to these documents as we go through them. So, Allie, anything else you wanted to add on the template, on the WISE?
I think I just wanted to offer why we're asking for this and a little bit of context, and then open it up for the group to really kind of think about and kick the tires on. So, y'all, permitting is our second most common point of failure for all broadband infrastructure grants. Not surprisingly, Make Ready is number 1. So when we're looking at this permitting plan template, what we are asking for y'all to do is to really dig down and figure out every single permit that you anticipate needing. It's possible that some of these permits will drop off over time, especially if you were to submit this permitting plan fairly early on, maybe right after you do your initial meeting, your initial NEPA meeting. There are 2 things that we're going to be using this for. So the first is really kind of to make sure you guys are thinking through, are you crossing ditches? Are you crossing railroads? Do you have all that planned out? What does your timeline look like? So that's part of what we're gathering here. The other thing that we're going to be using it for is we will be aggregating the information that y'all send to us to figure out what agencies you're going to be reaching out to for permitting. And so we'll be able to see whether or not we've got a number of projects going through very small municipalities who may not have the capacity to be able to support to process your permits. And we can do some work on the back. If we know about it on the front end, we can do some work on the back end to try and smooth some of those processes. The other thing that we'll be doing is that we'll be asking you all to update these permitting plans to Jamie's point, that stage of permitting. As you say, like, I'm just planning it right now. No, I've submitted the permit and I submitted it on 12/31. We'll be tracking that to make sure that when we look at how long you thought it was going to take, if the agency is saying it's going to take 90 days, that if it gets to 75 days and you haven't heard anything yet, that we are able to reach out to that agency on your behalf to figure out maybe what was going on and well, maybe earlier than that, but to begin during our troubleshooting roundtables, to try and grease the wheels, if you will, for some of this permitting. So we've got this one plan is going to be doing a lot of heavy lifting, which is why we're asking for so much information on it. But we also want to make sure we're asking for the right information. So would be really grateful if any of you have feedback. Are there things that we either were not asking for that you feel like you'd like us to be tracking? Or are there things that we're asking for that you feel like maybe is unnecessary or will come in a different way, if you will? And I'll pause there because I really do want feedback if anyone's willing to give it.
I see one hand up, Brian.
Yeah, hey guys, thanks. So two questions. One is, Jamie, you mentioned in the notes, put if this permit is not given. Do you want, I mean, on standard right-of-way permits where we're in the public right-of-way and there's no reason for them to turn us down, I mean, do we still have to describe that in terms of if we don't get it? Yeah, and then the second question is on the easements. Do you want us to identify where we're planning on using SB 107 to perfect easements for aerial runs?
Brian, the answer to your second question is yes. So anywhere
Okay.
you're going to have a private easement, if you will, include that, but maybe in the notes, just note.
Yeah.
Yeah, the legislation. For the construction notes, if you are planning to get like a CDOT, the CDOT right of way, if you've done an unsolicited proposal, it hasn't been approved yet, then yes, even if it's going to be in right of way, even if you're doing some kind of unsolicited proposal, we do want to know that you've done that and what impact it'll have to your project. I think if you're going through a regular permitting process, so for example, CDOT, and you're just submitting a permit to CDOT, we probably don't need it at this point. We may ask if you run into slowdowns, we may ask to come back and fill that out or do a deep dive once we start seeing if you're having any problems with permitting. But in general, if you were following a standard permitting process and it's just a time issue, then no, I don't think you need to put that in the construction notes, Brian. For
Okay.
things like make ready though, if you've got some kind of permit associated with make ready, we really do want to see it.
So, well, and for make ready, usually it's just a JUA that you have. So do we just note that we have a JUA and there's no real like permit, like once you have that, there's no real permit, we just go
Right.
through the process. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're asking for so your milestone 4 is your make ready. And I think probably it'll be covered in that, but Brian, could we revisit that when we get down to milestone 4 and just make sure that we're paying attention to both? I love this question because I'm inclined to say we might want it here. And the only reason I say that is because what this template is going to drive is those conversations and who we bring to the table, and we don't want to miss make ready. So maybe I tentatively, and we'll take it back and talk about it. My tentative thought is that we would include it as a quote unquote permit, even though it's not technically a permit. And then, yeah, Brian, then you would just say, hey, look, this is what this is going to look like. And we've already got it taken care of. Or if we were not able to get the rights to go aerial here, our plan is to go underground and no locations would be stranded. Or if we can't go aerial here, we're in real trouble and we're going to lose 50 locations. That would be helpful for us in the notes. So tentatively, but we will put out guidance. I'm inclined to say note it here with just like what you're talking about, something in the construction notes that like it's not technically a permit, but it's a gating criteria, if you will. And then the additional details will be in the make ready plan in milestone number 4.
Okay.
It's a great question.
Very good. I was personally thinking more of the landowner that specifically was not going to let anyone pass. And Brian, thank you for bringing up those additional considerations. Very helpful. Craig, hi.
Hello. One note on the permitting request date. At least two of our permit agencies have a just-in-time approach where they say reach back out when you get there. And so, what we'd have there is call it a guess, but so we'll put a date, but not necessarily range, but it'll be in the future because
Yes.
they don't want to see it now. They want to see it later.
Yes, that's exactly right, Craig. And this, we actually did this in response to, it might have been yours, but some of y'all's feedback that I think originally we had said, get all your permits. And we were being a little aggressive and recognizing that you'll stage your permits over time, and that's totally fine. And we know that it's not going to be exact. The grant manager, Jamie and Kyle, will work with you all over time as we get closer to when you think you were going to submit a permit, just to tighten those dates up. But for now, it helps us to understand whether or not we're looking a year in advance or if we're looking at like 2 months in advance. Because again, when we're doing that behind the scenes work with permitting agencies, we can give them a sense of when we think their workload's gonna increase and whether or not they're gonna need surge capacity at all.
And thank you, Craig. Ali's right. The initial one will be what the plan is. But as you start putting in for permits, we will update the plan with the submitted, waiting for it, received. And that goes back to what Ali was saying. We can help possibly if we start seeing backlogs or missed SLAs or large concentrations of issues. So first one, get as close to a swag as you can, and then when we get real dates in, we'll update the plan. David. David, do you still have your hand up, David, right? Or if you're talking, you're on mute.
I can hear him talking in his office. There he goes.
Oh, okay.
We still can't hear you, David.
I don't have my hand up.
Oh,
That's
okay.
funny.
You have a ghosty hand, and I'm going to see if we can
I
clear
had to
it up.
forward over to someone else, so she probably just didn't know. That's okay.
Oh no, I raised my hand. I have a question.
Uh-huh.
That's why David's hand was up. Oh, that's funny. Okay.
Oh.
Brian, for your make ready, make sure you've got easements because I've run into that in another project, and I just wanted you to be aware that you pull your plating.
Yeah, we usually use SB 107, so that's
Okay.
kind of
I just was like, oh wait. Okay. That's all I wanted to say.
Hey, Jamie, one more quick clarification, and maybe Ali. So the milestone 2, do we have to have our NEPA green light to submit for milestone 2, or can we do milestone 2 before we finish the NEPA process?
Brian, thank you for that lead in. Let's go to the next slide. I couldn't have paid you to do a better lead in. The milestone 2 permitting process is tied to the kickoff meeting, but not the actual full NEPA approval that will come after everything's uploaded into the ESAP tool. So in preparation prior to the kickoff meeting, you'll submit the Colorado BEAD permitting questionnaire. During the meeting, we will review that permitting plan with you and suggest potential changes. After the meeting, you will get the post-kickoff NEPA and EHP readiness memorandum that will detail changes recommended to your permitting plan. That gives you all of the information you need to swivel to preparing the template. Once you're in the template, use those documents to guide you. I do want to call out that local municipalities are not included in the HDR review. Those are the responsibility of the grantees. And if there are no private easements, just a reminder to list not applicable on the template. We really want this to be a very comprehensive document. We know things may change, but we really want to see a good vision of how you're projecting that work and those relationships to progress throughout. Allie, anything else you wanted to add on that?
No, I think, Brian, this goes to your question. You'll need the NEPA kickoff meeting. You will not need to have submitted an ESAP. So once you have your NEPA kickoff meeting, everybody's in agreement about what the scope of work is going to be, then you'll submit it. But you know what, Jamie, one of the things I realized we didn't sort of put on the slide, for those of you who separate into 2 project areas, you will submit each milestone, all of them, moving forward, like from 1 on. Every milestone will be based on your NEPA project area. So for those of you that haven't gone through the NEPA kickoff meeting yet, the way that that works is you'll have one grant agreement. Under that grant agreement, we hope that you will have one project, but in some cases it may make sense to split off a portion of your project because it's kind of going to be slow rolled in NEPA approvals. If that happens and you've got sub projects within your grant, your milestones, so your permitting plan, will be addressed specifically to the locations that are included in that NEPA project area, so your sub project, if you will. Jamie, I'm so sorry. I don't know why that didn't come for me earlier, but just as a heads up for that. So the NEPA kickoff meeting will drive much of your EHP requirements, right? That's where you can double check with HDR, make sure you've got everything included. But then you all will fill in the rest of the information. And we really do want it to be as comprehensive as possible. We are not going to say, hold on a second, you said you needed a permit through Custer County, and we're going to hold you to it, even though you don't need it anymore. We'd much rather you say, I might, because I'm going to be crossing through 2 miles of Custer County. And then if your network design changes over time and you're able to avoid that, no problem, but it'll help us reach out and make sure that our permitting partners are prepared for you. So yeah, that was a lot of thoughts at one time, but hopefully that's all really clear.
That was a great call out, Allie. And again, that's information that will be identified on your post kickoff memoranda if we're going to need multiple project areas. So that's why we say you can start the paperwork, but don't try to finalize the template until you've got that kickoff meeting under your belt. Any other questions on that piece? Okay, once your template is complete, you're ready to submit your milestone progress report. This is a new activity for those of y'all who are used to the monthly project progress reports. There is a milestone progress report that you'll submit as your financial activity. And there's a refresher link there to John's excellent presentation on how to do that whole process. And I think I need to do a correction there because I think the milestone progress report is the financial activity. But we'll tidy that up and get that out in the notes. We are asking again for a very specific naming convention to help us keep track of updates as we go through this, and we'll do our best to embed those into the templates themselves.
Hey, Jamie, it's Kyle. I did just want to clarify. Those are 2 separate things. Like you'll do the milestone progress report first, and then once that's approved, you submit a financial activity for that milestone payment.
Oh, it is a separate. I thought we had said that the progress report could serve as the financial activity.
No, that's not how the system works, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that clarification. Kyle's the only one that's actually gotten to that phase of doing a milestone 2 reimbursement. So thank you, Kyle. All right, on to milestone 3. It gets a little more difficult because we're going to start having attachments and other items. Milestone 2 is one standalone document with lots of information, but milestone 3, which is coming up next.
Slide.
Thank you. This is the very comprehensive list of the procurement activities, all of your vendors, all of your suppliers, all of the information for each of those, as well as a tab that's going to track inventory first at the planning stage and then post-deployment, where you'll come back and add actual models, serial numbers, and dispositions. I know we've had a lot of questions on this template. Allie, I don't know if you wanted to lay some background as to why we're asking for all of this up front.
I would, because I feel like this is one of those things that, as you guys get into it, it could cause you frustration. So I want to talk a little bit about what we're doing and what we're trying to do and why. And then would love for you all again to kind of kick the tires on it, if you will. So when we were looking at setting our milestones, one of the things that we're trying to address is the areas of biggest challenge over time. So procurement is frankly one of those things. It's not in the top two. It's not make ready or permitting, but it's still important. And particularly because BABA is an issue for BEAD, where it wasn't for any of the other projects. So what we are asking for in the procurement is actually we are trying to make sure we're trying to track a couple of things. So one, making sure you've thought out your procurement path, that you have vendors assigned, determined, and that they're BABA compliant vendors. So and that you have the required terms and conditions associated in any contracts that you're issuing with both materials vendors, but especially with your subcontractors. So as a reminder, some of you from CPF already know this. When you have a federal grant, contractual terms flow through to your subcontractors in those grants. And so we need to make sure that your subcontractors also have those contracts that you are issuing with subcontractors have the federal terms and conditions associated with them. Part of the way that we do that is we ask you to send in your contract. We review it. We make sure those terms and conditions are in there, and then we approve it and move on. It's a very quick review. So when we're looking at this sort of tab 3A here, the tab 1, where we've got 3A procurement, a couple of the things that we're asking for are the contractor PO, if you have one, when that was executed, what you anticipate the lead time is going to be, but also that OIT Form 17, which says, hey, this is who we're going to use. They're not debarred, because even if you have a pre-existing relationship with a subcontractor, if they are on the debarment, the suspended or debarment list, the federal suspended or debarment list, you can't pay them with federal money. So OIT Form 17 helps you check that. It's got instructions on it. And then we'll double check your contracting language and then make sure that the BABA certification is appropriate. One of the things we did add here, just because we understand that pricing can be a competitive advantage in the industry, and we don't want, we want to try and help you protect that, is a checkbox for whether or not the pricing is confidential. We hope that this will make it just easier for you to say yes to all if you want. We don't care. We just need to review just these couple of things there. So that's tab 3A. Tab 3B is equipment. So equipment has a really specific federal definition. So y'all might call equipment a piece of electronics. You may call it equipment, but unless it costs $10,000 per item, it doesn't go on this list. And we've got these instructions in the template. You'll be able to see them, but tab 3B, if it is equipment, if it is a per item cost of $10,000 or more, so like a hut or some kind of anything that's over $10,000 per item, we have to track that And when we track that, that is something that you will be required to track over the federal period of performance. So we're trying to get a sense of what that is now. And again, this is one of those places where we're hoping this work on the front end will really support you on the back end. So we'll get this list of equipment. Further on down the road, we'll take this list of equipment, we'll add in serial numbers, and then you will be able to track your equipment, and we will be able to track your equipment in a relatively straightforward way. So that's what this tab is. And then I think this would be the post-deployment updates are when we will add in the model the serial number. And if you were to dispose of it, we'll talk about this a little bit farther on. You don't need to know it now, but if you were to dispose of it, there's a couple of federal rules that we'll pay attention to. So like replacement, we just need to note it, stuff like that. That'll happen farther on. So when you are thinking about whether or not we're having unintended consequences about what we're asking for, if you can take a look at these items that we're asking for under procurement and equipment, that'd be really helpful for us to have a sense, not that we can't change a template over time, but we'd love to get it right the first time if we can.
And Allie, we have one question from
Okay.
Craig. Is the federal contract language meant for a project-specific contract or the MSA with that vendor?
Oh, so Craig, you can do it either way. So if it is if it's project specific, which I would, if I were doing it, I'd probably do it contract specific. That is perfectly fine. If you have the language already in an MSA, you don't need to repeat it in a task order.
Thank you. Allie, I appreciate that. And just a heads up, Allie's actually going to be doing a presentation upcoming on one of our office hours on accounting and finance in BEAD, because as you can tell, she just has this at the tip of her head. We're going to try to get that to you in a workable format. All right,
Yeah,
next.
hold on a sec, Jamie. I'm really surprised you guys do not have more feedback on this, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, how quick will this recording be available? They have several individuals who cannot
Oh,
attend.
great.
Kristen, these are normally up.
And listen to the absolute latest if I have some kind of issue with the file, but I do it pretty quickly.
Ooh, Kristen, you were a little garbled. Could you repeat that?
I'm sorry, I was just saying today.
Oh,
Okay, thanks.
perfect.
Hey, Cynthia, do you need more time? Do we need to push the date out till the end of tomorrow for feedback?
Sorry, trying to find me mute. Yeah, that's what I was wondering is how quick today, because if we need feedback today, then I mean, how soon will I have this recording? Because I'd
Why
like to
don't,
run it past, like I said, several people.
for sure. Why don't we do this? Why don't we just say by 9 a.m. on Monday? So
Okay,
that'll give
perfect.
you, yeah, is that okay? So we'll get that updated, y'all. So if you can just get us any feedback on these templates, and Cynthia, we're looking for everything, right? Like if you're worried about not having it, like just give us the feedback so that at least we can make informed decisions about what is your reality on in the field.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yes, Craig, that's right. It is the manufactured product that is BABA certified, not the vendor.
Correct. All right. Okay, well, let's go ahead and go to next slide. And for milestone 3, there is quite a bit required.
I'm so sorry. Can we go back because Craig, that triggered something for me.
Oh,
You're right. The BABA certification is going to be associated with the material. So we'll provide some instructions because the way we've got it set up now is sort of by contractor and vendor name. So if, oh, I don't want to have like a million materials. we'll think on the easiest way to be able to provide those BABA certifications and description of materials without you having a million lines. Thank you. It's a good flag.
Yeah, we only get product specific self attestation
Okay.
or self certification. So there's no such thing as a vendor, a portfolio wide BABA compliance because they have yes and no
Right.
all across the portfolio. So it would have to be
Yep.
line item by line item specific.
I think it will. Yeah, thanks. It's a great flag, Craig. Thank you.
And Stephen, thank you for your feedback. You're right. We renamed that on the website, and I did not rename it in the guidance. So I will make sure we update that and have the actual link to the form in the template. So thank you for calling that out. Oh, and Chris is right there with the link.
Allie, to your point, really, it's the contractor vendor really is irrelevant. So I mean, I think the template should really just be manufacturer. Because a given vendor, we might buy multiple different things from a given vendor. We might buy conduit and fiber and handholds and everything from a given vendor, and there are going to be 3 different manufacturers from the same vendor.
You know, that's a really good point. So I'm thinking, that triggered 2 things for me, Brian. So the first is for materials, it's actually the manufacturer that matters because you won't have a contract in the same way that requires the flow down provisions. But for subcontractors, it is the contractor that matters because the flow down provisions need to be associated with the contractor. Although you do still need to double check that your manufacturer, that your vendor. So for example, if you went through a buying group and you were paying the buying group, not the manufacturer, you have to make sure that the buying group is not on the suspension or debarred list. So maybe what we need here is an additional, like if I were to add a bullet, that I would add contractor vendor name. That's who you will do your OIT form 17 on, and then a second bullet that says manufacturer, and then that would be associated with the BABA stuff. It's a great point. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, we'll rework this template a little bit. We'll send it back out to you guys for when I'm saying vendor, it could be a distributor, Stephen. Yeah, for sure. So we'll rework this template and we'll get you guys' feedback on it again, for sure. That's a really good point.
We were going to get some great feedback from this group, so thank you.
The certifications from the manufacturers, you're requiring signatures for all of those, I would assume. Like the manufacturers, we could have 25, 30 different manufacturers, so 25, 30 different letters, and each letter would have a list of parts, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. And just as a reminder, this is not about a presentation, but just as a reminder, NTIA has a whitelist vendor whitelist. So if you guys are wondering about this at all, you're welcome to, reach out, hop on the NTIA website to grab their BABA compliant vendor whitelist. We still need the certifications.
Yes. Right. Next slide, please. So this one, as you can see, we're submitting a lot with this template. We do need binding contracts for all the materials and services for the project. They have to be compliant. We do need both pages of the template completed. Contractors and consultants require the OIT Form 17. Oh, I'm sorry, I did want to note here quickly, you can have multiple projects using the same contractors and consultants. You can use the same OIT Form 17 for all of those projects, but you do need to upload one of the documents with each zip file. So same document, you don't have to multiply it, but it does need to be included in each packet. All materials do require BABA certification or the appropriate waiver. That all needs to be zipped together and then submitted. And I think Kyle's just given us the correct updating notes. You will do a progress report and then submit a financial activity with that. And Kyle, you've seen this. They should send the zip file with the permitting milestone or with financial activity.
With the milestone. So essentially what you're doing is you're submitting a milestone report to get, that's your deliverable. You're submitting the deliverable for review and approval. So that's the first step. So you submit the zip file as part of your milestone progress report. That will get approved in the grant portal by your grant manager. Once that milestone progress report is approved, then you can create a financial activity. And then as you create that financial activity, you will link it to that milestone progress report that was previously approved.
Thank you. We did have one question on whether or not the OIT is required in every item. So I assume you're talking about like make ready the next template. It also asks if the OIT form has been completed. We don't need the new form, but it needs to have been completed and submitted with milestone 3. If for any reason you have a new vendor that wasn't planned, we need to do a modification, add them to the list, and submit an OIT 17, but that should all be captured under milestone 3. And milestone 4, even though it asks if you have the OIT form 17, it's not a yes or no question. It's a, you don't get to move past this unless you've already submitted it. So
Well, you said it has to be included with every zip file. Which zip files are you referring to?
Thank you. For milestone 3. So if you have 4 different BEAD projects, 4 different grant agreements, you're going to submit 4 different files. They all may use the same OIT 17 form, but they all have to have one included in the file. Does that make sense? Cool. Thank you. I was answering the wrong question. I appreciate that. Cole, what will serve as a binding contract for materials? Will a signed PO be sufficient? I know we've had a few flavors of this question come up. Allie, did you want to weigh in?
Yeah, Cole, I think at this point we're saying yes, signed PO. Our goal is to make sure that manufacturers know that these orders are coming, that you have a vendor that is BABA compliant. We understand that in some cases we're not able to lock pricing down, but remember this procurement milestone comes with money, right? And so our goal when we're paying milestone 3 out, our goal isn't so that you just like suddenly have 10% of your grant to like do nothing with. It's if you need to put a deposit down, if you know, as you are starting to line these items up, that you have cash to be able to support actual expenses. And so a signed PO is fine if that's the process that you go through with a supplier, if you will. But what we are really hoping to happen, and part of why we're making funds available here, is so that you're able to lock in your pricing as well early on as best you can. So, so the short answer to that, Cole, is yes. The long answer to it is that we are really hoping that by allowing you some funds as you submit this, that you'll be able to lock in pricing, you know, proactively. Because what we don't want to happen, what we don't want to happen is in 2 years for y'all to be coming back to us and saying, well, hang on a second, the cost went up so much, we weren't prepared, right? At least in this case, you've identified all your vendors, you've identified all your pricing, and as best we can, we have paid you for milestone 3, which allows you to be able to lock in pricing wherever possible.
And Ally, I just wanted to comment that you had feedback from at least one major supplier at Mountain Connect saying, we're here to work with you guys. We're ready to set up those schedules, and they really do want to partner with everyone.
Yeah.
Cool.
I better clarify on that too, because so two things. I think we try to be proactive in ordering materials, and so we've already, ordered some.
Great.
So I don't know. We'll have signed POs, but like we won't have any, I guess, contract. And I don't know if we've ever done that, to be honest. Signed a
Yeah.
contract. But at the same time, I don't know if anybody else has experienced this, but we have had like we'll lock in pricing for materials, but vendors, manufacturers, they and at will can raise prices, and then we kind of have to accept it. We either accept the materials that we ordered at a higher price or we don't. And, we've been forced to accept that. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but I'm not saying that's going to happen here, but we have experienced that in the past, especially, post COVID, the few years after that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
cool.
we're seeing that. We're seeing that too, Cole. And they're actively telling us prices could go up and will go up.
Yeah.
Right.
I think my experience, at least in construction, is that like a quote has a 90-day ticker on it. Even if we sign something, it goes up. So again, that's sort of hopefully when we get all of your lists of manufacturers, we'll see some commonalities and be able to have conversations with them. But I don't know that we have like a smoking gun, Cole, to be able to manage costs. Again, my hope is that with some of the payments from these milestones that we're able to have some conversations with suppliers to say, this isn't just a, hey, we're going to buy it in the future. This is like a, hey, for sure, we're going to buy it. There's no good answer, Cole, and I'm sorry, but we do want to help try and manage that for you as best we can. I don't know that we have a good solution for it. And then I think your other question was if you have already purchased materials. So just as a reminder, well, I mean, it only kind of helps, Cole. I wish what I could say is like the state of Colorado is going to force them all to do it. That's what would really help, but we'll do our best. Your other question was for previously purchased materials. I think what you're asking is what is the documentation you would need to submit for previously purchased materials? So, if the materials are on site, as a reminder, y'all, you can only use BEAD funds for BEAD activities, right? So even if you have more money coming in than you've used, you need to be using BEAD money for it. And once those materials come in, they have to be set aside for BEAD. So those materials need to be BABA compliant, Cole. And so probably the way that I would treat that equipment, you need to make sure that you're retaining your BABA certification. I would submit that to us as part of this. You can either, if your PO was 100% for BEAD, you can send that PO that was ordered and filled, or the bill of lading. You could do it that way too, with all of your BABA backup documentation, or you could note it as inventory. But as inventory, you still need to have the manufacturer of the equipment and all of the BABA compliant information. So you've got two paths there, really. But the BABA is tricky. Okay, let me know. These are great questions. It gives us a lot to think about. So happy to, if you guys have more, we're really happy to hear them.
This is wonderful.
How about in-place infrastructure that's being used?
In-place infrastructure. So we don't allow in-kind match. So what can you talk more about like what that
I
might look
couldn't
like?
remember if you did or not, so maybe it's
We
not.
don't allow in-kind match. So match is only cash match. So we can talk more about that offline, but probably it wouldn't fall under procurement anyway, because you've already got it. So it probably would be outside of this process.
I know we're running short on time. I'm going to quickly get to milestone 4. And Ali is always quick to tell us this is the King Kong of all processes. Ali, did you want to kick off anything here, or did we want to just jump right in?
I think we jump right in, y'all. This is not surprising to you. This is our #1 point of failure in the state of Colorado. We know that what we're asking for here is kind of hard and it's going to take a while. But this is what you get paid for, is this make ready. So I would hand it back over to you, Jamie, to talk about specifically what we want, and recognizing, again, we'd love your feedback. We do know it's hard, but what we're trying to do is to make sure that we are not looking at estimates anymore, that we've taken the transition from estimate to engineering to effectively a negotiated cost with a signed agreement with pole owners.
And this was, Cynthia, the question I was answering before. This says OIT Form 17, but that's not a new submission. That's just confirming that you have already submitted it in milestone 3. So you do not need to attach that again. We've outlined the required attachments, again, based on aerial, underground, or fiber lease. We are asking for the executed contract with the negotiated cost approved by both parties for the services of that particular piece of make ready. So it's a little tiny slide, but we know that it's the mountain of work that y'all will be doing. And can we flip ahead one slide real quick?
Actually, real quick, Jim, one question
Yes.
on that. What kind of make ready? I don't quite get underground and IRU as it relates to make ready. I mean, make ready's aerial implementation factor. So what are you guys kind of talking to there?
Yeah, and so in some cases we recognize that some grants won't have aerial make ready, but they will need to have a dark fiber lease. They maybe have a CDOT right of way permit fully executed, right? So in the beginning, we're asking about what is your plan for the permitting? This is the do you have it, if you will. And so if you have any of the things, it may be that we need to change the term make ready, but this is really that the critical path items here. So,
Okay.
and it's executed and ready to go and approved with pricing is what we're looking at here, Brian. So where milestone 2 is really planning.
Okay, so this really isn't make ready. This is more
Yeah.
like an implementation. So like what happens, for example, let's take a CDOT run is a good example. We've got a 20-mile run that's underground. There's less than a half mile that's CDOT. We start with the other stuff while we're going through the CDOT process that takes up to 6 months, so that we kind of time that. How do we, so we can't apply for this until we actually, even though we're doing work in all the other areas, we can't submit this until we actually have the formalized permit from CDOT, even
That's
if
correct.
even if it's just a fraction
Yep.
of. Okay, that's
right, Brian. Yeah.
That's problematic. Yeah, because like for CPF, I mean, we've done stuff. I mean, we did work 8 months ago and are still waiting for CDOT stuff.
Yeah.
So
Now, as a reminder, so your payment for other items is not dependent on no milestones are dependent on anything else other than your approval to move ahead with NEPA. That's your milestone 5, right? So if you get your approval to move ahead under milestone 5, Brian, NEPA approval is good to go. You're able to do ground disturbing activity. You can move forward and start drawing down on your construction milestones, milestones 6 through 10, even though you haven't done this one right here, because you're still waiting on the CDOT permit. And but you're understanding it right? This is This payment is making sure that, if you're able to, pushing it forward as fast as you can. But we do understand that these are things that take a long time, even though it's in order of like milestone 4. You may not hit it 4th, you may hit it 7th, and that's okay. We're not gonna hold up all your other reimbursements because you haven't gotten this done.
Okay, so if we're doing construction, and I mean, obviously, once we have our NEPA
Right.
green light, we're doing construction. We can apply for drawdowns on the other construction that's not related to this.
You got it. You got it. And so the other thing, Brian, that could happen here is like, if you were to have 2 NEPA project areas, again, right? So like once you subdivide your project, everything gets subdivided. So you may have your build ready, which I love rather than make ready. Your build ready for one of your NEPA project areas already done, and one of your NEPA project areas is not done. That's okay too, right? So it may happen in that way if you've got sub projects. But again, this gets paid upon completion and signed contracts.
Okay, got it.
Yep.
Right, and I know we're over time. I apologize. Thank y'all for sticking in. Again, this is one where we need all of the documentation put together in a zip file, including the executed contracts. And I think Ali had outlined some great points that will expand that. This is submitted with your milestone progress report and can then be filed, processed with the file activity records. And again, we're going to ask for naming conventions because we do expect modifications to these to help us keep it straight. And Craig had a question. Ali, what does set aside mean for BEAD materials? If all materials staged in inventory are BABA compliant, can we just maintain one inventory for ops and accounting ease?
Yes, that would be fine. Craig, just document it. Yep. What we don't want to happen would be for you to use BEAD money to buy materials and then suddenly they disappear. So that's what we're avoiding. We'll talk about that more a little bit in the accounting, but that's what we're concerned about there. So yeah, absolutely. If everything that you've got in inventory are BABA compliant, you've got all the documentation, and then you just put them into service as you use them, love that. That's a great option.
Excellent. Well, we literally ran over time. I apologize. We tried not to do that, but this was a great conversation. We'll move the feedback to Monday morning. So please review the templates and provide feedback. We have already made a plan to separate these into individual milestone templates instead of one working book because of the dynamics of how they're submitted. So that change will be made. And we know that some of the fields we're having difficulty editing. Those changes will be made as well. And Cynthia asked if we can learn, if we know when an email can go out when the recording is available. Oh, and Kristen said sure. All right, team. I know I ran out the clock. Any last minute questions before we let everybody go?
Y'all, thank you so much. And again, we'll extend the deadline for feedback until Monday morning. If you can just get anything into the advance box, you can reply to Kristen's email with any feedback that you've got. We really do appreciate this. Has been a great conversation.
Been helpful. Thanks, guys.
Thanks all. Talk soon.